love yourself now? Everyone's like, you have to love yourself. You have to love yourself until everybody hates you. That is how much you have to love yourself. If people aren't hating you, you're not loving yourself enough, okay? Love yourself more until you're so annoying to be around. Like the other day, I couldn't find my sunglasses and they were on my head. And so I was like, oh, I'm such an idiot. And my friend goes, we don't talk about ourselves that way. We don't talk about ourselves that way. I was like, speak for yourself. You idiot.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, Trump Tuesday, April the 21st, and this is The True Conservative. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today. So today, after the Serenity Prayer and the patriotic song of the day, we will have Varney and Company, motivation, meditation, and President Trump. All that and more when I get back. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I should not change, the courage to change the things I should, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Thank you, Yoo-Hoo Stew.
Now, Stu, take it away.
Good morning, Maria. Good morning, everyone. You may have been following Wall Street for a lifetime, but rarely, if ever, have you seen such a sharp and rapid rebound for stocks. It started just 2 weeks ago. It hasn't stopped. This market is looking beyond the war and beyond $4 gas, and they're looking closely at good earnings. Look at this. The Dow Jones Industrial Average opening this morning with maybe a 200-point gain, a small gain for the S&P, and the Nasdaq up about 72 points, adding to the gains that we've already seen. President Trump thinks we will get a deal before before the ceasefire expires. And ahead of the Wednesday ceasefire deadline, oil is staying just below $90 a barrel. Gas down 2 cents. You're looking at 4.02 there now. California still at 5.82. Yeah, 5.82 it is. And diesel down 2 cents at 5.51. Treasury yields, they haven't done much during the stock rebound. The 10-year coming in today at 4.27%. We have the 2-year at 3.76% today. Bitcoin, well, that's rallied. 76,000 and change. 76, right there at 76,000. On the show today, some confusion about peace talks in Pakistan. Vice President Faz is reportedly set to head to Pakistan today, but the Iranians have not confirmed that the talks will take place. The ceasefire expires tomorrow. The president says there will be no extension unless the strait is open. There's other news. Apple's Tim Cook stepping down. He's leaving after a remarkable performance. In 15 years, he has quadrupled revenue and increased the stock price 20-fold. A hardware guy, John Turnus, will take over. It's his job to bring AI into the heart of the Apple ecosystem. And Cory Booker makes an impassioned speech, which looks like his opening gambit in a presidential campaign. It's a doom and gloom speech. Democracy is threatened. Children are threatened. Seniors are threatened. America is a nightmare. He says we must reclaim the dream. Tuesday, April 21st, 2026, Varney and Company
is about to begin. That was Varney and Company. Nonprofit news now. Back in a minute. Thank you. When you finally speak, it often causes disruption. It shakes things. It breaks illusions. It invites conflict. But that's the point, because conflict is sometimes the price of clarity. You cannot build a healthy, dynamic, personal, professional, or social on the foundations of lies or half-truths. And when someone repeatedly distorts reality to serve their ego, your silence becomes their ally. The temptation to maintain harmony is strongest when you're dealing with someone emotionally volatile. Bad Democrats often use volatility as a control mechanism. They teach you that telling the truth will lead to drama, accusations, or emotional punishment. So you start to edit yourself. You start to filter your words. You tell yourself that you're picking your battles, but what's really happening is that you're giving up the fight altogether. You're letting them shape the reality, letting them dictate what can and cannot be said, and in so doing, you slowly lose your voice. The longer this goes on, the more the fight becomes normalized. Everyone plays their role. The bad Democrat controls the narrative, and those around them fall into place not because they agree, but because they're tired. Because they don't want to be the one to challenge the story. Because doing so makes you the problem, the difficult one, the one who can't let things go. So, in a cruel twist, truth becomes the threat, and false harmony becomes the virtue. The truth is not cruelty. The truth is not aggression. The truth is what allows you to see clearly, to know where you stand, to understand what is actually happening. Without it, you're flying blind. You're reacting to shadows. You're trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. And the bad Democrat wants it that way. They want things vague, emotional, unstable, because clarity threatens their control. Clarity exposes contradictions. Clarity invites accountability. Speaking the truth, especially in the presence of manipulation, takes courage. It's not glamorous. It's not always well received. People might not applaud. They might resist. They might turn on you. The truth is not measured by how comfortable it makes people. It's measured by how closely it reflects reality. And if you give that up, if you choose harmony over truth consistently, you're agreeing to live in someone else's fiction. You're allowing their version of events to become the dominant story, even if it erases your perspective entirely. This isn't just about knowing. It's not about moral superiority. It's about reclaiming your recognition of reality. It's about recognizing that sometimes the most loving, most necessary thing you can do is to stop pretending. Stop pretending the behavior is acceptable. Stop pretending the dynamic is fair. Stop pretending that silence is the same as peace, because it's not. Silence in the presence of manipulation is not peace, it's complicity. There will be people who accuse you of overreacting when you finally speak the truth. There will be those who ask, why stir things up? Or, just let it go. But what they're really saying is, don't make me uncomfortable. And that discomfort is precisely why truth is needed. Because without it, the bad Democrats' narrative becomes the one everyone else is forced to live in. And that is not harmony. That is subjugation. Your silence serves their manipulation. It doesn't protect peace. It doesn't maintain dignity. It doesn't preserve the relationship in any meaningful way. What it does is allow a bad Democrat to continue operating unchecked, without resistance, without friction. Bad Democrats are experts at exploiting gaps. Gaps in confrontation, gaps in accountability, gaps in truth. And silence is the biggest gap of all. Every time you bite your tongue, every time you let something go to keep things smooth, every time you tell yourself it's not worth the argument, you enforce their power. A bad Democrat loves environments where they're not called out. They flourish in relationships where people hesitate to speak the truth. They count on that hesitation. They study it. They provoke reactions, deny reality, twist conversations. And when you stay silent, they interpret that silence as permission. Do you think you're avoiding a fight? You think you're being the bigger person? But what you're really doing is teaching them that their behavior has no consequence. Silence creates a vacuum, and bad Democrats are more than willing to fill it. They fill it with their version of events. Their narrative becomes dominant simply because it's the only one being spoken aloud. If you don't challenge, it becomes the truth by default. In the absence of contradiction, the loudest voice wins. And narcissists are always the loudest when it comes to self-preservation. They will take your silence and use it as a shield, as a validation, as a tool. If it were really that bad, they'll say, you would have said something. But you didn't because you were afraid, because you didn't want the fallout, because you hoped that maybe, just maybe, they'll come around on their own. But they won't. Not because they can't change, but because they have no incentive to. Your silence ensures that the game continues. It ensures that they stay comfortable. Unchallenged, unexposed bad Democrats won't reflect unless they're forced to. They pause unless there's resistance. And when you offer none, they assume control, not just of the relationship, but of your very perception of it. Over time, you start to question your own instincts. You wonder if you're being too sensitive. You convince yourself that maybe you're imagining things, that maybe you're the one who needs to adjust, that erosion of self-trust is exactly what the narcissist needs to keep you under control. They don't just want silence, they want internal silence. They want the part of you that resists the doubts, that pushes back to go quiet. Because once that happens, they don't even have to work that hard. You begin to police yourself. You edit your thoughts before they become words. You manage your reactions before they're even fully formed. You stop expressing discomfort. Not because it goes away, but because you believe it won't make a difference. And that's when they know they've won. It's not about screaming or arguing or dramatic confrontations. It's about speaking clearly, directly, and without apology. It's about breaking the pattern of silence that gives them free rein. Even a single sentence, one honest statement, can disrupt their script. Because narcissists are not prepared for truth. They are prepared for compliance. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now, motivation.
You can actually have the best idea in the history of all mankind. And if you don't have discipline to make that happen, it doesn't matter at all. Your ideas are worthless.
Don't let that idea die inside your head. No more waiting, no more putting it off, no more excuses, just execution.
Thinking alone won't get you anywhere. You gotta do. You have to do it. And you have to do it now. Don't put it off till tomorrow. Don't voluntarily do anything tomorrow that you should be getting done today. Get it done today. Tomorrow is not a viable option. Tomorrow doesn't work. You do it today. You get it done today. That's what you do. You start feeling that procrastination set in, attack it with violence of action. Attack it, destroy it, and move on. No hesitation. You initiate action. You go. Take that first step and make it happen. And some of you are where you are. If you can be real with yourself, you have gotten yourself in some mess because of your feelings. You don't feel like getting up. You don't feel like doing the work. You don't feel like working hard. And if you don't feel like working hard, then you better feel like losing, getting weaker, because that's what's going to happen. At the end of your feelings is nothing. But at the end of your principle is a promise. So principle is, I just can't quit because I want to. I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do. That's the rules. Nobody cares where I come from. Nobody cares that I'm a high school dropout. Can you execute? We live in a world that at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is execution. Good intentions have never helped somebody lose weight. Good intentions have never helped somebody finish school. Good intentions ain't never paid nobody bills. We not own intentions, we own execution. In order to make that a reality, no plays off, no days off. You need to dominate in your space. This is the year to get it done. This is the year to rid all excuses. You gotta start off saying, this is exactly where I'm going. I don't care what happens. I am not going to stop. I ain't talking about it no more. Like, this the thing I gotta get done. I can't keep talking about I'm gonna finish this book. I can't talk about I'm gonna get this degree. I will dominate this thing. I will get this thing done. This year I will make this goal become a reality. I won't talk about it anymore from this point forward. Execution is worship. I don't make the big bucks because I talk. I make the big bucks because I execute. True winners understand that what drives improvement the most is a sense of desperation. The most valuable skills, the highest standards come when you literally have no choice. When it's do or die and your back's against the wall. And having zero other options is what forces you to get better. It's what drives you to become the best and equips you with the tools you need to succeed long term. This is why winners love it when they lack resources and their back's against the wall. They love when there's no other options because it forces action. So no matter what's happening, you gotta get the job done. We've got people who make excuses, who want to blame society, blame their circumstances. But we also got people who are intense, who have urgency, who understand the need to win on every opportunity presented to them. We've got people that understand there is no time to sit on your hands and wait. We have people that understand that they have to go out and do everything they can to make sure that not only do they get the job done, but that they are the best at it. Those are the people that come in and are constantly putting up points on the scoreboard, no matter how many they already have. They are 100% urgent 100% of the time. You have to be urgent about continually doing the critical tasks, continually winning on a daily basis, continually showing everybody that not only are you good, but you're the best. Successful people make everything important at all times. They make every detail important. And when you do this over and over again, your standards will raise, your performance will raise, things will start to move forward. If you're going to get your personal freedom, you gotta go get it. You gotta go earn it. You gotta play hard for it. It's not for the weak and the uncommitted. It's hard. It's difficult. Why? Because the
And that is motivating. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now a little meditation. And that was a little meditation. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, the Cold War.
June 20th, 1970. 13:45 hours. 120 miles southeast of Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky, Soviet Union. Soviet submarine K-108, an Echo-2 class nuclear-powered cruise missile submarine, glides through the frigid waters of the North Pacific at a depth of 300 feet. The submarine is massive, 377 feet long, displacing 5,000 tons submerged, powered by 2 pressurized water reactors that give her a maximum speed of 23 knots. Her primary armament consists of 8 P-6 cruise missiles housed in distinctive launch tubes angled upward from the deck, designed to strike American aircraft carriers from hundreds of miles away. But on this June afternoon, K-108's missiles are secured, and her crew is focused on a different mission, returning to base after a routine patrol in the Pacific. The control room of K-108 is bathed in the standard red emergency lighting that Soviet submarines use to preserve night vision during submerged operations. Captain second rank Boris Bogdasarian stands behind the helmsman, monitoring the submarine's course and speed. Around him, the control room crew operates with the quiet efficiency of men who have worked together for months, comfortable in their roles, confident in their vessel's capabilities. Bogdasarian is particularly confident this afternoon.
K-108 has been cruising at 16 knots for the past 3 hours, a speed that Soviet naval intelligence has assessed as faster than American submarines can sustain in Arctic waters without creating excessive acoustic noise. The Americans, Soviet intelligence reports indicate, must choose between speed and stealth. Their submarines can run fast, or they can run quiet, but they cannot do both simultaneously. This fundamental limitation, according to Soviet assessments, gives Soviet submarines a tactical advantage in their home waters. The captain has additional reason for confidence. K-108 is operating in Soviet territorial waters, less than 150 miles from one of the Soviet Navy's most important Pacific bases. This is Soviet Ocean. Soviet submarines patrol these waters constantly. American submarines occasionally venture into the area for intelligence gathering, but they must exercise extreme caution to avoid detection by Soviet ASW forces. Any American submarine operating this close to Petropavlovsk would be running silent, moving slowly, maintaining maximum stealth to avoid the sophisticated acoustic surveillance network the Soviets have established throughout the North Pacific, or so Captain Bogdasarian believes. If you are enjoying this video, subscribe to our channel Cold War Chronicles. Let's continue our story. In the sonar compartment, the sonar operator monitors his displays with routine attention. The passive sonar shows the normal acoustic background of the North Pacific, distant ship traffic, biological noise, the faint sounds of Soviet surface vessels operating near Petropavlovsk. There are no contacts within 20,000 yards. No American submarines. No threats. Just empty ocean and the reassuring sounds of Soviet maritime activity. What the sonar operator does not hear, what his equipment cannot detect, is the American submarine following K-108 from directly astern at a range of approximately 800 yards. USS Tautog, SSN 639, a Sturgeon-class nuclear attack submarine, has been trailing K-108 for the past 42 minutes. The American submarine is operating in what submariners call the baffles, the blind spot directly behind every submarine, where the noise from its own propellers drowns out passive sonar returns. It is the most dangerous and demanding position in submarine warfare, requiring precise depth control, exact speed matching, and nerves of absolute steel. Any error in depth or speed will result in collision. Any noise will alert the target. Any loss of contact means the trailing submarine might surface directly beneath the target or veer into its path. Commander, commanding officer of USS Tautog, stands in his control room watching the target bearing with the focused intensity of a surgeon performing a complex operation. Tautog is maintaining depth at 325 feet, 25 feet below K-108's estimated depth. The American submarine is matching the Soviet boat's speed exactly, propeller rotations synchronized to maintain constant separation. The only sounds in Tautog's control room are the quiet hum of ventilation and the occasional whispered report from the sonar station. Contact holding steady, Captain. No change in course or speed. We're locked on his 6. Balderston nods acknowledgement without speaking. Tautog has been conducting this close trail surveillance for nearly an hour, gathering acoustic intelligence on K-108's propeller signature, reactor noise, and machinery characteristics. Every sound the Soviet submarine makes is being recorded on sophisticated tape systems that will be analyzed by naval intelligence to improve American understanding of Soviet submarine capabilities. This is one of the primary missions of American attack submarines during the Cold War. Shadow Soviet boats, record their acoustic signatures, learn everything possible about how they operate. But the mission carries enormous risk. Tautog is operating deep inside Soviet territorial waters, trailing a Soviet submarine that would attack immediately if it detected the American boat. The slightest mistake, a momentary loss of depth control, an unexpected maneuver by the target, equipment failure, could result in collision, combat, or international incident. American submarines conducting these trailing operations accept that they are one error away from disaster at all times. The unique advantage Tautog possesses is technology that Soviet naval intelligence has not yet discovered. The Sturgeon-class submarines represent a revolutionary advance in submarine stealth. Through a combination of improved propeller design, sophisticated sound dampening systems, and reactor quieting technology, American submarines can now operate at speeds previously impossible without creating detectable acoustic signatures. Tautog can run at 16 knots, matching K-108's current speed, while remaining quieter than Soviet submarines running at 8 knots. This capability gap is so significant that Soviet sonar operators literally cannot hear American submarines operating in positions that should be easily detectable. The Americans are exploiting a window of technological superiority that will last only until the Soviets realize their intelligence assessments are catastrophically wrong. When that realization occurs, Soviet submarine doctrine will change, Soviet sonar technology will improve, and the game will reset. But for now, in June 1970, American submarines enjoy a brief period of near invisibility that they are using to devastating intelligence gathering effect. Commander Balderston is acutely aware that this technological advantage is both temporary and fragile. The mission briefing before Tautog departed on this patrol emphasized that Soviet submarines are becoming increasingly sophisticated. New sonar systems, improved reactor designs, better propellers. The gap is closing. Every intelligence gathering operation against Soviet submarines helps the Americans stay ahead. But that lead is measured in months or a few years at most, not decades. At 13:58 hours, something changes aboard K-108. The Soviet submarine's sonar operator detects a momentary anomaly on his displays. Not a contact, not even a clear acoustic signature, just a brief fluctuation in the background noise that might be equipment malfunction, might be biological, might be nothing at all. But the operator reports it to the control room because that is his training. Anomalies are investigated, always. Captain Bogdasarian considers the report, an acoustic anomaly directly astern, probably nothing. The sonar operator acknowledges it might be instrument error, but Soviet submarine doctrine is clear. When operating near base, when acoustic conditions create uncertainty, when any possibility exists of an American submarine in the vicinity, execute defensive maneuvers to verify you are not being followed. The maneuver has a name that American submariners have learned to recognize and dread: Crazy Ivan. The tactic is simple and brutally effective. A submarine running on a steady course suddenly reverses direction, executing a tight turn that brings the boat back along its previous track. Any submarine that was following from astern, hiding in the baffles where passive sonar cannot detect it, suddenly finds itself directly in the turning submarine's path. The follower must either break away, revealing its presence, or risk collision. There is no third option. Soviet submarines execute Crazy Ivans routinely, sometimes multiple times per patrol, specifically to detect American boats conducting close trail surveillance. The maneuver has caught American submarines off guard dozens of times during the Cold War, forcing them to emergency maneuver and abort intelligence-gathering missions. American submarine commanders have learned to anticipate the tactic, to watch for the subtle signs that a Soviet boat is about to turn, to maintain ready depth control that allows instant response. But sometimes, the Crazy Ivan happens with no warning. Sometimes, the Soviet submarine turns so abruptly that the trailing American boat has no time to react. Sometimes, physics and reaction time are not sufficient to prevent disaster. At 1402 hours, Captain Bogdasarian gives the order that will change everything. Helm, execute Crazy Ivan. Hard right rudder. Come to course 090. Maintain depth 300 feet. The helmsman acknowledges and begins the turn. K-108's rudder swings to maximum deflection. The massive submarine begins a tight right-hand circle, her bow swinging through the water, her stern following the arc, her entire length, describing a curve that will bring her back across her previous track within 90 seconds. Aboard USS Tautog, the sonar operator sees the turn developing before the helmsman feels it. Captain, contact is turning right. Hard right rudder. He's executing a Crazy Ivan. Commander Balderston's response is instantaneous and automatic. All stop. Emergency rise. Blow forward ballast. The order triggers immediate action throughout Tautog. The reactor throttles are slammed closed, cutting propeller thrust to zero. High-pressure air blasts into the forward ballast tanks, creating positive buoyancy. The diving officer pushes the bow planes to maximum rise. Tautog's bow angles upward as the submarine begins an emergency ascent designed to carry the American boat up and over the turning Soviet submarine. But the maneuver that has worked successfully dozens of times before, the standard American response to a crazy Ivan, fails this time due to a single critical miscalculation. Tautog is not following K-108 from 800 yards astern. Tautog is following from 800 feet astern. The sonar operator misread the range, or the acoustic conditions created a false echo, or the target's exact position was misjudged during the approach. The specific cause will be debated in classified after-action reports for months. What matters at 14:02 hours on June 20th, 1970, is that USS Tautog is far closer to K-108 than Commander Balderston believes, and the emergency rise procedure that should carry Tautog safely over the turning Soviet submarine instead brings the American boat directly into K-108's descending hull. The collision begins at Tautog's sail, the vertical structure housing the submarine's periscopes, masts, and bridge access. K-108's massive keel, weighing thousands of tons and moving with the momentum of a vessel displacing 5,000 tons, comes down on Tautog's sail like a hammer on an anvil. The impact is catastrophic. Metal screams, steel buckles. The collision sound reverberates through both submarines with a violence that throws crew members against bulkheads and equipment. In Tautog's control room, the lights flicker and die. Emergency lighting activates, bathing the compartment in red. Gauges shatter. Instruments fail. The deck tilts at an unnatural angle as K-108's weight drives Tautog downward. Commander Balderston regains his footing and begins the emergency damage assessment that every submarine commander trains for, but prays never to execute. Damage report. All compartments report. Throughout Tautog, section leaders check their areas. The forward torpedo room reports flooding from a cracked hull seal. The reactor compartment reports the automatic scram has shut down the nuclear reactor, standard safety procedure during collision. The engineering spaces report loss of propulsion. The sonar compartment reports all passive arrays are offline. The most critical damage aboard Tautog is not the crushed sail structure or the flooded torpedo room. It is the loss of depth control. The collision has damaged the submarine's trim systems and ballast controls. Tautog is heavy forward from the flooding, light aft from the emergency ballast blow, and the diving officer cannot maintain level attitude. The submarine is oscillating between 280 feet and 360 feet, rising and falling like a wounded whale, completely out of control. Diving officer, establish depth control, Balderston orders, knowing the command may be impossible to execute. Trying, sir. Forward planes are responding, but we have flooding in the forward trim tank. I can't compensate for the weight distribution. Above Tautog, aboard K-108, Captain Bogdasarian is dealing with his own catastrophic situation. The collision felt like the submarine struck an underwater mountain. The impact threw the helmsman against his console, knocked the sonar operator out of his chair, and created a sound that every crew member recognized instantly as hull damage. But what mountain could K-108 have hit at 300 feet depth in open ocean? The answer comes from the sonar operator, who has recovered his position and is staring at his displays with an expression of absolute disbelief. Captain, contact, bearing 185, range less than 100 meters, submerged, submarine. It's directly beneath us. The words hang in the control room like a physical presence. A submarine, directly beneath K-108. There was no submarine on sonar 30 seconds ago. There was no contact within 20,000 yards. The ocean was empty except for K-108. And now, suddenly, there is a submarine underneath them, close enough to have caused the collision. Bogdasarian's mind races through the tactical implications. An American submarine. It must be American. No other nation operates submarines in these waters. The Americans were following K-108 in the baffles, following at high speed, following at 16 knots, following so quietly that Soviet sonar, operating at maximum sensitivity, detected nothing until the crazy Ivan brought K-108 directly on top of the American boat. The intelligence assessments were wrong, catastrophically wrong. American submarines can run fast and silent simultaneously. They can trail Soviet boats at 16 knots without creating detectable acoustic signatures. They can operate in the baffles, the one position Soviet doctrine assumed was safe because passive sonar would detect any approach from astern at tactical speeds. Every assumption Soviet submarine commanders have been operating under is suddenly revealed as false. The Americans are not limited by the speed versus stealth trade-off. They have solved the acoustic problem that Soviet engineers still struggle with. American submarines can be anywhere, at any speed, completely undetected. This realization is both tactically immediate and strategically profound. Tactically, K-108 must deal with a damaged submarine and a collision with an American boat that may or may not be hostile. Strategically, Soviet naval intelligence must be informed immediately that American submarine capabilities have been dramatically underestimated. But first, Bogdasarian must determine if K-108 can survive the next few minutes. Damage control, report. Throughout the Soviet submarine, damage control teams assess the collision impact. The keel is damaged. The massive structural member running the length of the submarine's bottom shows stress fractures and possible cracks. The outer hull has buckled in several places. Ballast tank number 4 is partially flooded. The propeller shaft shows vibration indicating possible misalignment. Multiple systems are offline. But the pressure hull, the inner steel shell that keeps the ocean out, remains intact. K-108 can dive. She can maneuver. She can fight if necessary. The damage is serious but not immediately life-threatening. The same cannot be said for USS Tautog. Commander Balderston faces a decision that no submarine commander wants to make. Tautog is damaged, out of depth control, unable to maneuver effectively, deep inside Soviet territorial waters, with a Soviet submarine directly overhead that now knows the American boat is there. The smart tactical decision is to emergency surface, establish communications with Pacific Fleet Command, and accept whatever diplomatic consequences follow from being caught conducting surveillance in Soviet waters. But surfacing means revealing Tautog's exact position to Soviet ASW forces. Soviet destroyers and patrol aircraft will converge on the location. The submarine will be photographed, her acoustic signature will be recorded, her capabilities will be assessed. Years of American efforts to maintain stealth advantages will be compromised. The alternative is to remain submerged, restore depth control, and attempt to escape, while K-108 is still dealing with collision damage. It is a risky choice that could result in Tautog sinking if the flooding cannot be contained. But it preserves operational security and maintains the fiction that American submarines are not routinely operating in Soviet territorial waters. Balderston makes his decision. Secure flooding in the forward torpedo room. Restore depth control. Prepare to clear the area submerged. Maintain silent running. The order represents a calculated gamble that Tautog's damage is manageable and that K-108 is not preparing to attack. It is the decision of a submarine commander who understands that the intelligence value of American submarine stealth capabilities outweighs the personal risk of remaining submerged in a damaged boat. Aboard K-108, Captain Bogdasarian faces his own decision calculus. Soviet doctrine for submarine collisions with foreign vessels is clear. If the foreign submarine appears to be attacking, respond with all available force. If the foreign submarine appears to be withdrawing, allow it to depart while reporting the incident to fleet. Command: do not escalate unless the situation clearly justifies combat. The key question is whether the American submarine represents an immediate threat. Bogdasarian's sonar operator reports that the American boat is not maneuvering aggressively. The contact is maintaining position beneath K-108, neither approaching nor withdrawing. The acoustic signature, now clearly audible with the American submarine so close, shows no indication of weapons preparation. No torpedo tubes are flooding. No guidance systems are active. The American submarine is damaged and trying to survive, not preparing to attack. Bogdasarian makes a command decision that will be debated in classified Soviet naval reviews for years. He chooses not to attack. The American submarine followed K-108 in the baffles, yes. The Americans were conducting intelligence gathering in Soviet waters, yes. The collision resulted from American surveillance operations, yes. But the collision was accidental. Both submarines are damaged, and attacking a crippled American submarine would almost certainly trigger an international incident that neither side wants. Maintain sonar contact on the American submarine. Do not prosecute unless it shows hostile intent. Prepare damage control teams to execute emergency surface if necessary. Radio room. Prepare encrypted message to Northern Fleet headquarters. The decision represents a level of tactical restraint that Cold War submarine operations rarely see. Both commanders, one American, one Soviet, have independently decided that the collision, however serious, does not justify escalation to combat. Both are choosing to focus on survival and damage control, rather than seeking tactical advantage or retribution. Over the next 27 minutes, both submarines execute careful damage control procedures, while maintaining awareness of each other's positions. It is a strange ballet of mutual vulnerability and reluctant cooperation. Neither submarine can afford to ignore the other. Neither submarine wants to escalate to combat. Both are damaged. Both need to reach safety. And both commanders understand that the collision, while catastrophic for their vessels, represents an intelligence revelation more significant than any tactical engagement. Aboard Tautog, damage control teams work systematically through the flooding crisis. The torpedo room crew isolates the damaged hull seal using emergency patches and compressed air pressure. The flooding slows, then stops. The diving officer gradually restores depth control by carefully adjusting ballast and trim to compensate for the forward compartment flooding. By 14:29 hours, Tautog has stabilized at 340 feet and is maintaining depth within acceptable parameters. Commander Balderston assesses his submarine's condition. Tautog can maneuver. She can dive and surface. She cannot run at high speed. The damaged sail creates too much drag and noise. But she can move slowly and quietly. Most importantly, she can escape. Helm, come to course 270. Make turns for 5 knots. Descend to 400 feet. Let's put some distance between us and the Russian. The escape maneuver is executed with painful slowness. Tautog cannot afford to make noise that would trigger an aggressive response from K-108. The American submarine eases away from the collision site like a wounded animal retreating from a predator, using every bit of remaining stealth capability to fade into the acoustic background of the North Pacific. Aboard K-108, the sonar operator tracks the American submarine as it withdraws. Captain, contact is moving away. Course 270. Speed approximately 5 knots. Depth increasing. Bogdasarian nods. The Americans are leaving. They are not attacking. They are damaged and withdrawing. This is the best possible outcome given the circumstances. Maintain tracking. Do not pursue. Communications officer, transmit the encrypted message to fleet headquarters. The message Bogdasarian sends will trigger immediate response from Soviet naval intelligence. American submarine detected conducting close surveillance in Soviet territorial waters. Collision occurred during Crazy Ivan defensive maneuver. American boat was trailing K-108 at 16 knots from baffles position. Soviet sonar failed to detect American submarine until collision. Assessment. American submarine technology has exceeded intelligence estimates. Recommend immediate review of all acoustic performance assumptions. The message represents a fundamental admission that Soviet submarine doctrine is based on flawed intelligence. For years, Soviet commanders have operated under the assumption that they could detect American submarines trailing at tactical speeds. That assumption is now revealed as dangerously incorrect. American submarines can trail at 16 knots, possibly faster, without creating acoustic signatures Soviet sonar can detect. This capability gap has profound implications. If American submarines can trail Soviet boats undetected, then Soviet ballistic missile submarines are vulnerable to continuous American surveillance. Soviet attack submarines cannot assume they are operating unobserved. Every Soviet submarine that has executed a crazy Ivan and found nothing might have missed an American boat that was there, but too quiet to detect. The intelligence failure extends beyond tactical operations to strategic assumptions. Soviet naval planners have designed submarine tactics, patrol patterns, and operational procedures based on acoustic performance estimates that are now proven wrong. Those procedures must be revised. Sonar technology must be improved. New detection methods must be developed. The entire Soviet submarine force must adapt to a reality where American boats can be anywhere, anytime, completely invisible. But adaptation takes time. Technology takes years to develop and deploy. Training takes months to implement across the fleet. In the immediate term, Soviet submarines must operate with the knowledge that their acoustic defenses are inadequate, and their sonar cannot be trusted to detect American submarines trailing in the baffles. This is the real damage from the June 20th collision, not the bent keel or damaged propeller shaft aboard K-108, not the crushed sail or flooded torpedo room aboard Tautog, but the revelation that Soviet naval intelligence has fundamentally misunderstood American submarine capabilities, and that Soviet submarines have been operating blind for an unknown period of time. By 14:45 hours, USS Tautog has cleared Soviet territorial waters and is proceeding slowly toward the open Pacific. The submarine is damaged, but under control. Commander Balderston has filed an initial incident report with Pacific Fleet Command via encrypted communication. The message is brief. Collision with Soviet submarine during surveillance operation. Damage contained. Crew safe. Returning to base. The full details will be debated in classified briefings. Questions will be raised about the range estimation error that put Tautog so close to K-108. Procedures will be reviewed. Lessons will be learned. But the fundamental mission was successful. Tautog gathered intelligence on K-108's acoustic signature and, inadvertently, demonstrated to the Soviets that American submarine stealth capabilities exceed their intelligence estimates.
And that was the Cold War. Back in a minute.
What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we, the people, choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
What is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing.
Don't you want healthy children? Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
I come to you today as a former Democrat. I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
this country. And it's the people who are making America great again.
Thank you. This is Ron, your host, the only true conservative in the United States today, bidding adios to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there, and reminding you that you're not neutral and that the government has no rights.